Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Germany once again, and this is another one of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip to Munich. So for this one we are going to go to Privat Landbrauerei Schönram and we're having a taste of the Schönramer Hell. Now, as I've told you before, this is a style of beer that I really do enjoy, one of my favourite German traditional styles of beer. The German Helles of course usually comes in about 5%, this one is 5%, but I've done a couple of videos now of some really good Helles and people keep suggesting new ones to me. The first one that I did was the Augustiner Helle, then people were saying do the Tegernsee Helle, and then people started saying do the Tillmans Helle. So when I was in Getränke Osse in Munich, he recommended this one to me. I was telling him about that and he said, oh no, this is one that you really need to try. And this seems to be a really interesting brewery as well. They seem to be quite experimental, both with the traditional German beers and with the kind of newer styles that are making their way into Germany from America as well. So it's really quite an interesting brewery to have a look at, this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Privat Landbrauerei Schönram. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, like I said. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. There are playlists there for the beers from different countries. There is one for all the German beers that I'm reviewing that's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Privat Landbrauerei Schönram then. So the Schönram brewery was founded back in 1780 by farmer Jakob Köhlerer, and the guest house proved very popular because the brewery was basically located on the merchants route between Salzburg in Austria and Munich in Bavaria. So since foundation the brewery's passed directly down the family line and it's now in the 8th generation, but the current head of the brewery is Alfred Oberlindober, and the name change basically came because of the marriage of Elisabeth Köhlerer to Alfred Lindober Oberlindober in 1938. But in recent years they've invested heavily in their brew house, and the current brewmaster is Eric Toft, who basically focused the brewery on brewing both the traditional Bavarian and German styles of beers as well as the new American styles that were coming out. I couldn't figure out from the article that I was reading whether this guy is actually American or not, but his name is kind of German, so I wasn't really quite sure. But as you would guess from the name, the brewery is based in Schönram, which looks as if it's about an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half to the northwest of Salzburg, but it's actually just inside Germany. It's not too far inside Germany actually, very close to that German-Austrian border, and it's a little bit up from that kind of bottom corner where you find Berchtesgaden and things like that. A very, very pretty part of Germany. But these guys have got quite an extensive range of beers. They've got IPAs, they've got Imperial Stouts, they've got Dunkels, Helles, Weizens, and all of these sorts of things. So they're a very experimental brewery and very, very prolific as well. So if you get the chance to try some of these Schönramer beers, a lot of the guys in Munich who are really into craft beer seem to be recommending this brewery. So have a go with them if you get the chance, and I'm quite glad that I'm able to review one of these for you here on the channel. So yeah, that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. There wasn't too much information available on this one. I had a little look at the website and things. Their kind of guest house and their brewery actually looks really nice. It's one of these kind of traditional Bavarian sort of beer hall type restaurants that they have, so hopefully I can go and visit that at some point in the future. But as I say, all the links and stuff are in the description below and you can check those out if you are interested. So anyway, just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one there. You can see the nice kind of Schönramer artwork. I'll just bring that up a little bit closer so you can see that nice kind of crest on this one. Yeah, founded 1780. I'm not sure if that is maybe the town crest or if it's the family crest or something like that. The big beer of the small brewery, it says, and brewed in accordance with the Reinheitsgebot of 1516. And there, of course, you can see there's the Schönramer bottle cap on this one. The light when I go a bit close to the camera isn't so great on this video just because of the natural light behind me, but yeah, it says traditional and handmade beers for this one. So yeah, Privat Landbrauerei Schönram, 83367 Schönram. So yeah, 5% Helles beer, and it should be really nice. So without further ado then, let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. Yeah, nice smoky opening then, and we'll get it out and into the glass. And maybe if I'd had more space, I only had 20 kilograms that I could fill up with beer and things like that, if I'd had more space, I would have maybe brought one of their Imperial Stouts back or something like this. The Imperial Stout was recommended to me, but just with the other beers and stuff that I had, I couldn't really justify. I wanted to cover as many breweries as I could on this trip. So I just decided to go with the Helles because it was the guy in Gatchanka Osa really recommended this one to me and said this is a really quite good beer. So yeah, as you can see then, this beer's poured kind of exactly what you would expect. It's a nice pale golden straw. There's a solid finger and a half of a frothy white head there. One or two big, or quite a few big bubbles actually, sticking towards the side of the glass here. They're all going into the folds of where the glass has been cut right enough, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head. But the pale golden straw colour is exactly what you would expect from one of these nice German Helles beers. You can see the head is just going down very, very slightly, but it's a nice kind of finger of a thin foamy layer. And in terms of colour, I'd say that head is perfect white. It doesn't even have a creamy tinge to it, but overall, you know, it looks exactly as you would expect from a nice kind of Munich style Helles. When you talk about the Helles beer in Germany, of course, you do have two different types. You tend to have the Munich Helles and you also have the Dortmunder Helles as well. I've always found that the Dortmunder Helles is just a little bit more kind of hoppy and sort of grassy and floral, whereas the Munich Helles I've always found has a little bit more, it just has a little bit more breadiness to it, and I've always found that the Munich malts rather have this really lovely bready character to them, so it just gives it that slightly more bready edge. So it's always interesting to bear that in mind when you try these nice German Helles beers. So yeah, looks exactly as you'd expect. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and see how we get on. Yeah. You know, it does kind of smell exactly as you would expect. The Helles beer isn't one that's going to blow your head off in terms of the aroma. They are quite subtle, but they're meant to be nice, easy drinking session beers. You do get a little bit more complexity out of the Weizens and the Dunkels, of course. But the Helles beer is just meant to be a nice kind of easy drinking beer. A little bit more complex than the Pils, of course, though. But with this one, there's a nice little bit of bready malt in there. You can smell a wee bit of that almost toasted, grainy character. There's a little bit of a kind of slightly biscuity caramel sweetness, but not too much. And it has that typical German noble hop quality. So there's a wee tiny bit of earthiness, some nice floral characteristics as well. It really smells like the Hallertau hops, to be quite frank. The German Hallertau hops and the Tettnanger from over in Baden-Württemberg, they both have this kind of quite distinct aroma, so you can always tell when you have German noble hops in your beer. But you can smell a nice little bit of that light earthiness, that kind of very slightly spicy floral aromaticity, and then the lighter kind of lemongrassy notes as well. But overall, you know, it does smell like a typical German Helles beer. As I say, bready and a little bit of that German noble hop. That's exactly what you want from these beers. A little bit of biscuit too, and you can just pick up a little bit of that almost citrusy, lemongrassy character coming out of it as well. But overall, it's a really quite nice smelling beer, and again, exactly what you would expect. So without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer then. So this one is the Schönramer Hell from Privat Landbrauerei Schönramer in Schönram, very close to the Austrian border in the southeastern part of Bavaria. Let's get stuck in. Prost. Yeah, that's a pretty nice beer. You know, in terms of complexity and things like that, like I said, the Munich Helles, the Dortmund Helles, the German Helles generally, I guess you would say, it's not going to blow your head off. But in terms of traditional beer, it's one that I really, really like. I love German Dunkels, I love the Helles beer, I love Doppelbock, I love Rauch beers. Weiss beers I do enjoy every so often as well, but I would probably say that in terms of traditional beer styles, I think the German styles of beer do win it for me. I love the Tripel and the Quadrupel from Belgium as well, but I think that the amount of ones that I like from Germany probably makes it a little bit more, or probably sways Germany a bit more kind of in my favour, I would say. But that's a nice Helles beer. I'll need to recommend this one to my friend Peter over at the Clueless Drinker. Like me, he loves a good Helles beer. So Peter, if you're watching, give this one a go and see what you think of it, because it is really quite nice. Yeah, that's pretty good. I just like how that comes across. As I always say with these beers, sugar it around your palate a little bit and let your whole mouth adjust so that you can just pick up all the flavours in this beer. But this one's really nice. It's a little bit more hoppy, I think, than some of the other Munich Helles that I've come across before. So maybe in some ways, if you blind tasted this, you might think it's a Dortmund Helles rather than the Munich Helles. But then again, it does have that typical nice bready base that you expect. So let's just go round this beer as we always do then. So in the middle of your palate, you can just feel that nice, slightly pale character, that pale malty note just kind of blanket in the middle of your palate. On top of that, you start to get some of these thicker, more kind of white bready elements that you expect of the Munich malts. It's just got a little bit of that almost white bread, just very slightly sweet character to it. And as the flavour progresses, you'll feel right in the middle of your palate, there's a little bit of graininess to it, but there's a nice biscuity sweetness right down the middle line of your tongue that starts to push its way out, and you can feel that. You've seen how long it was since I took a sip of the beer, but right now I'm getting these nice kind of sweet biscuity notes coming out of this, and some of that cereally character from the malt base is just starting to push its way out. So it's quite interesting. I mean, you always pick up little things like this from the Helles beer, and I have to say, to me, I really quite like this one. I like that little bit more bitterness that it has. Yeah, that's nice. I'm not sure, it definitely has that noble hop quality to it, but I do wonder if there's another one of the American hops in here or something like that. It could of course just be Perl that they've used in this, because the Perl is one of the German hops that gives you just a little bit more of a spicy floral aromaticity in comparison to the Tettnanger or the Hallertau and things like that. But this beer definitely has a little bit more of a kind of hoppy kick to it than some of the other ones I've come across. So on the hoppy side of the beer, in the back corners of the palate, there's that little bit of a nice earthiness. It's actually, I always find the German noble hops just give you a very slightly sweet earthiness, so you can feel that in the middle, in the back corners of your palate. But as you come further forward, the floral character just kind of comes out a little bit more, and it gets just a little bit spicy, and you can feel there's a wee bit of bitterness on the front corners of your palate. But as you go round the very front curve of your tongue, you can pick up a little bit more of that lighter kind of grassy note. It's almost a little bit of a lemongrassy quality that comes out of this beer. Yeah. It's really nice. I think on the basis of the fruity notes that are coming out of this beer, I think it's definitely just German hops that they've used in this one. I do wonder if there's some Perl in there, just because of the slightly spicier floral aromaticity that's coming out of this. It does have that typical German noble hop quality to it, like I was saying, but it does have just this quite distinctive, slightly spicier floral note, and it reminds me of the Perl hops, because I've done some home brewing with Perl, and that's the thing I always remember that it was noted for, was just that lighter, that slightly stronger spicy element to the floral characteristics. But it's a really nice beer, this one. I can see why the guy in Getränke Ausse recommended this one to me. It's a nice, slightly different kind of take on the Helles. It's a little bit more hoppy than some of the other ones that I've come across. You know, in terms of the fruitiness of the beer, if you just go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you'll get this little oily bubble where the nice, juicy, fruity esters start to come out. And with this one, it's a nice lemony note. It's a sort of lemongrassy, oily type thing that's coming out of this one. And as you progress further into the flavour, it just lightens out and becomes a little bit more of a kind of regular grassy kind of ester that's coming out of the beer. But it's a good beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. I have to say, they've certainly done a nice job of this. On the basis of this, I'd love to try their Dunkel beer and see how it comes across, because they've kind of, there's quite a few breweries in Germany doing this now. They seem to have captured the kind of essence of what the traditional style should be, but they've just given it a little bit of a boost with a bit more of a kind of hoppy kick to it and things. And there's a lot of breweries, you know, Genstaller are another one in Bavaria that seem to do this. They take the traditional styles and then just give them a kind of foot up the backside, if you like, and add a little bit more to them. But for me, this is a really lovely Munich Helles, but it just has a little bit more of a hoppy kick, and I suspect they've added a little bit of Perl or something into this beer, because it just has that nice floral aromaticity. In the aftertaste of this one, you're getting that nice biscuity malt. There's a little bit of that grainy character sitting on top of the breadiness, but it's that distinctive floral note that's coming out of this one. But overall, they've done a great job of this one, and like I said, Peter, if you're watching from the Clueless Drinker, make sure you check out this beer. It is really quite well done. So hopefully I can try this on tap sometime and try some of the other beers that these guys do, but I don't think I'm going to find them in Scotland or Sweden, unfortunately, so I'll just need to go back to Germany, which isn't really a problem. But for this one, I would say the in terms of the mouthfeel, this beer is, I think, light to mid-bodied. It's on the lighter side of mid-bodied. The carbonation has a good bit of crispness to it. That is what you expect from the Helles beer a little bit, but you can get ones that are a little bit smoother than this, to be honest. I think it's more of a wet mouthfeel. There's a little bit of oiliness to it, but this one is a little bit more wet. It's more of a kind of thirst quencher, this beer, than anything else. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness to it. The malt base has a good degree of sweetness, but it does get a little bit drier as you go through the beer, and there's a nice little bit of fruity, juicy character as well. But overall, like I said, it's a really lovely Munich Helles style beer, just with a little bit more of a kind of spicy, floral, aromatic kick from the hops. So just a little bit more hoppy and spicy than some of the other ones you're going to come across, but I can see why the guy at Getränke Osa really recommended this one to me, and I'm glad that I got to try it. So hopefully I can return to the Schönramer brewery at some point in the fairly near future. But this is a really lovely Helles, and if you like a good hoppy Helles beer, then this is one that is certainly going to hit the spot for you. So yeah, the Schönramer Hell from Privat Landbrauerei Schönramer in Schönram in the southeastern part of Bavaria in Germany. A really lovely beer, and I'm very glad that I got to review this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Schönramer Brauerei as well. It'd be great to review some more of those for you at some point in the future. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. And please do make sure you check out my friend Peter over at the Clueless Drinker, who reviews a lot of German beers more regularly than I do. He's got some great videos over there. But this one was the Schönramer Hell from Privat Landbrauerei Schönramer in Germany. Prost.